Ever since 1994, the Sabin Vaccine Institute has awarded the Albert B. Sabin Gold Medal to a distinguished member of the public health community who's made extraordinary contributions in the field of vaccinology or complementary field. We typically present the medal in person in Washington, D.C., but the COVID pandemic has made that impossible for 2020. We at Sabin, along with our many partners and our award recipients, are dedicated to bringing this pandemic to an end through the introduction of safe and effective vaccines. The Gold Medal is the highest scientific honor given by the Sabin Vaccine Institute and commemorates the legacy of Albert B. Sabin. We're pleased to present the 2020 Gold Medal to Professor Gordon Dougan. We're presenting this award to Gordon not for one accomplishment, but for a career of advancing immunization. He's made a great many contributions, from research and discovery to clinical trial evaluation to advocacy. Professor Dougan's work has been critical in numerous vaccines, including those against pertussis, typhoid fever, and cholera.
Professor Dougan's contributions are seminal and worthy of receipt of the Sabin Gold Medal. Collectively, the breadth and impact of his work as a scientist is simply astounding. I've known Gordon Dougan for about 40 years and have had the opportunity to witness his extraordinary career accomplishments. From my very first interactions with Doug, it was clear that he was not only a very special scientist who was innovative and creative, but he was extremely collaborative. In my view, it would be his application of genomics to study typhoidal and non-typhoidal salmonella that is his greatest achievement of his many achievements. He was able, through this work, to explain the human host restriction of Salmonella typhi, the cause of typhoid fever, something that had perplexed us for way over a century. Doug not only is as creative and as innovative as any scientist I have known, he combines that with this broad global overview of problems. And if there's an area that he's not comfortable with, that he thinks is important, he seeks out a colleague to address that. A very, very special individual in science. Thus, it is with the greatest pleasure that I present the Albert B. Sabin Gold Medal to my colleague and friend, Professor Gordon Dougan.
First of all, I'd like to say it's a great honor to receive the Albert B. Sabin Gold Medal. The name itself is iconic in the field of vaccinology, and if you look at some of the previous winners, it's a who's who of people who've made great contributions to the field in the last 50 years. Really, I view this award as part of my team effort. It's really a hidden effort in many cases to try to develop vaccines for those that need them, and that's really why I think it's a very special award for me in that context. But working in the same field as me, an American scientist called Stanley Falco, and it turned out that I was going to go to a conference where Stanley was speaking and I was speaking in Lunteren in Holland. And I sat down in the audience, as all PhD students do, at the back, and listened to him make one of the most brilliant presentations I'd ever seen, really life-changing for me, where he was saying, actually, you can use your technology to study real disease in real time and have real impact. And I remained lifelong friends with Stanley. I went to work in his lab in Seattle, and he sort of helped shape my career. There's been other people as well. So what personal accomplishments am I most proud of in my career? Well, probably the very early work I did using recombinant engineering, gene cloning, to identify pertactin and other proteins and make them ready to develop into vaccines. I had the ability to create a whole department with malariologists, bacteriologists, virologists, where we created a huge data set of genomic information which could guide surveillance, it could guide vaccine development. But more importantly, that data was open access, and we created software tools that were also open access. So it meant that any scientist sat anywhere in the world, even in lower middle income countries, had the ability to get involved and to analyze that data and make impact either locally or contribute to the bigger picture. So one personal comment really about receiving the award. One of the things I've been very interested in all my career is developing the careers of young investigators, particularly scientific investigators. And I have an alumni of investigators all over the world, and that network really is very valuable to me, and it's very valuable to the kind of work that not only I do, but also the vaccine community does. And I really would like to acknowledge the contribution that alumni has made, not just in my science, but also in my personal life. I'm very grateful to those individuals, no matter what they're doing, and no matter where they are in the world. And I'd like to thank everybody who's helped me get not only to the position where I can receive this award, but also to where I am in terms of my overall scientific achievements. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Gordon. Sabin is also presenting the first ever Rising Star Award, which honors an early career professional who has demonstrated a commitment to the field of immunization. Dr. Kate Gallagher, our 2020 award recipient, has done this by conducting research that has informed the global recommendation for HPV vaccines. She also led clinical trials for the Ebola vaccine in 2014 in the midst of the epidemic, and she's now leading a clinical trial to test fractional dosing for the pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. Kate's work exemplifies the mission of the Sabin Vaccine Institute to make vaccines more accessible, enable innovation, and expand immunization across the globe. Congratulations, Kate.
Well, Kate is a very dynamic person. She's very passionate about vaccines. She's very imaginative and innovative, and she's also pretty committed. So you can see that in some of the work she's done. She's traveled very widely into some very difficult places to do her work. She's set up a project in Kenya which has required immense adaptation and innovation. And she's always kept at the forefront a sense that vaccines are a force for equity. They make the world a fairer place, and that's a value that she stores very highly. And Kate is currently working on a vaccine trial of a vaccine against pneumonia, and she took the original idea, which is to use a smaller dose of the vaccine to make it less expensive to vaccinate more people. A study which I think will really open up opportunities to spread and expand that vaccine further and further. So it gives me great pleasure, Kate, to recognize your commitment and enthusiasm, your innovation, your dynamism in the field of vaccines by having the opportunity to present to you, on behalf of the Sabin Institute, the very first Rising Star Award.
Receiving this award is such a wonderful recognition of the work that I've been involved with to date, and it was totally unexpected. So thank you to the Sabin Institute for awarding it to me. I get great satisfaction from being involved right at the beginning of a research study in designing how to answer the research question and how to get the best quality results at the end of it. And it becomes quite creative sometimes, and that's really enjoyable. But obviously that's only a small part of my job, and what really drives me day to day is knowing that the results of the study might improve the well-being of the local community and hopefully further afield globally. I have to say that everything I've been involved with to date has been part of a team effort, and I've had amazing mentorship and support from my supervisors, so I must acknowledge them here and say thank you to them as well.
On behalf of the Sabin Vaccine Institute, congratulations to Professor Dougan and Dr. Gallagher. We're pleased to honor your contributions, and we're thrilled that you're joining us in our vision to have a world free from vaccine-preventable disease. Thank you.